September 25th, 1820. Salem, New Jersey. Colonel Johnson stands outside the courthouse, in front of a horrified crowd. By his side is a basket of tomatoes. What he did would change our perception of tomatoes for the centuries to come. I'm Dan, your host, and welcome to HistoryARC. The tale of the tomato starts in the Andes, where it grew in parts of Bolivia, Peru, Chile, Colombia, and Ecuador. Tomato, as called by the Aztecs, was cultivated in Mexico and would be taken back to Europe around the early 16th century by Spanish conquistadors. In Europe, especially in Spain and Italy, tomatoes were a staple side dish. This reputation in Great Britain would be tarnished due to the work of one man, an English herbalist by the name of John Gerrard. Before we get to John, we first need to know about Pietro Mattioli and Rember Dodoens. Pietro was a renowned Italian botanist. In 1554, he published Europe's first discussion of tomatoes, describing their appearance, how they were prepared in Italy, along with illustrations of the fruit. He also wrote about tomatoes being members of the nightshade family, a family of plants known for their toxins called alkaloids, and he likened tomatoes to mandrakes, another nightshade plant mentioned in the Bible and mainly known for improving fertility. Dodoens was a Flemish physician and botanist like Pietro. Taking inspiration from Pietro and fellow botanist Leonhard Fuchs, he published the Cruduit book in 1554, which grouped different plants using botanical classification. Basically, he described their pattern of growth, flowering time, their fruit, and their medicinal value, as well as the different names for the plant. And this book will be the second most translated book during the century, behind the Bible. Now that we're done with that tangent, what does any of this have to do with John Gerrard? John was actually enlisted to produce an English translation of Dodoens' work, and this turned out to be a disaster. John's translation, Herbal, published in 1597, was riddled with fallacies. John, unfortunately, was lacking in scientific knowledge and knowledge of foreign languages. He called tomatoes corrupt and toxic due to the tomatine in the fruits. Tomatine is a glycoalkaloid, but isn't normally harmful to humans. To make things worse, John had also plagiarized the work of Dr. Robert Priest, who was originally commissioned for the translation but unfortunately passed away during the process. John would also incorporate unpublished works from his friend Matthias de Lobel and material from Carlos Clusius. His view of tomatoes in Herbal would completely change the way tomatoes were seen in Great Britain and the English colonies. The USA, while free from Great Britain, still held their views on tomatoes. They were seen as poisonous due to their tomatine and sinful due to being aphrodisiacs. Enter Colonel Robert Gibbon Johnson. In 1808, he took home some of the tomatoes from his trips abroad and fell in love with the fruit. He hosted annual competitions for who could grow the largest tomatoes. The townspeople of Salem thought he was crazy. I mean, this guy was regularly eating these supposedly poisonous fruits. Surely he had to be insane. The colonel was about to prove them wrong. Alright, now we're back to the story in the beginning. Slowly, he stuck his hand into the basket, gripping one of the numerous tomatoes. With one swift movement, he stuffed the tomato into his mouth. The townspeople were shocked. Then he did it again and again and again. How is this man still standing after eating the supposedly poisonous fruit? Eventually, after enjoying himself, the basket was empty. Tomatoes couldn't have been poisonous. Soon thereafter, tomatoes would become a staple fruit in New Jersey, spreading to the rest of the country. With that said, this has been the history of the Salem tomato trials. I'm Dan, your host, and thanks for watching.